Hello. So today we are going to be reading a section aloud from Girls Think of Everything that we talked about yesterday. If you remember yesterday, I flipped through the book a little bit for you, and you'll remember each of these are little short stories. And the subheadings here, it's the name of the inventor and the invention that they created. So, the first one we're going to talk about today is Betty Nesmith Graham, who invented liquid paper. Go ahead. I want you to think and discuss with a partner what was liquid paper. Pause the video. All right. If you said that it was the white fluid that they used to cover up typing errors, you are correct. So, she invented liquid paper when everyone was using typewriters and carbon copies, making carbon copies. So, correcting mistakes was a really, really messy business and not like it is today. Her invention really revolutionized how secretaries and business people worked. Liquid paper is still used today. In fact, I actually just used it on Blaine's This Is Me last week. But it's not as common as it was, but it's still definitely an invention that we use. So we are going to be reading aloud this section. It's 3 pages long. So go ahead and listen, and then we'll discuss them a little bit.
Smith Graham, liquid paper. It all began with a mistake. Maybe she typed a G instead of an H. Or maybe she left out a word. Regardless, in her determination to solve her typing problems, Betty Nesmith Graham developed a most creative solution. She invented liquid paper correction fluid, commonly called whiteout. It was a product that would revolutionize the business world and transform her from an executive secretary at Texas Bank and Trust into a self-made millionaire. At first, Betty tried to erase her typing errors, but the carbon ribbon used in the new electric typewriter made it impossible. The eraser simply smeared and smudged carbon ink all over her paper. Mistakes were professionally unacceptable, but what could she do? I was doing some artwork for Texas Bank on a freelance basis, trying to make a little extra money, Betty explained. And in lettering, an artist never corrects by erasing, but always paints over the error. So, I decided to use what artists use. Betty filled a small glass bottle with tempera water-based paint and, along with a miniature paintbrush, brought it to work. She even colored the paint to blend with the stationery she was using. Her boss never even noticed. Her coworkers, however, knew she had developed a trick, and they continually begged her for her miracle masking mixture. Finally, 5 years after she first used her correction fluid, she mixed up a batch of her secret paint to sell to the other secretaries. I used a green bottle, Betty recalled. I used things I had on hand at home. I took a file label. When she began making batches of mistake out, she had a 2-room manufacturing plant, her kitchen, and her garage. She also had a few employees, her son Michael and his friends. It wasn't long before Betty was supplying all the secretaries at the Texas Bank with her fabulous invention. Several people, including an office supply dealer, strongly encouraged her to market the correction fluid to the general public. However, before she attempted an organized sales campaign, she thought the quality of the paint should be improved. Although it worked, the tempera she had been using took too long to dry, and it also left the paper wet. Unfortunately, she couldn't afford to hire a chemist to improve her product. I decided I would try to work out a formula myself, she said. I went to the library and found the formula for a type of tempera paint. A chemistry teacher from St. Mark's School helped me a little bit. I learned how to grind and mix paint from a man at a paint manufacturing company. Betty changed the name of her correction fluid from Mistake Out to liquid paper, and set out to market her invention. Less than a year later, a trade publication called The Office included a brief article about liquid paper in its office supply catalog. More than 500 orders flooded in. The wheels of success had been set in motion. It wasn't long before Betty Nesmith Graham had triumphantly conquered the business world with nothing more than a tiny 20 years after her initial inspiration, Betty sold liquid paper to the Gillette Company for $47.5 million. In addition to starting several charitable foundations, she left her son, Michael Nesmith, $25 million. Michael was a popular musician in the 1960s group, The Monkees, and he invested much of his inheritance in a production company called Pacific Arts Studio. And wouldn't you know, Pacific Arts Studio used Michael's investment to become one of the pioneers in the music video industry.
Okay, so what were some of the challenges that Betty faced and how did she overcome them? Go ahead and think and pause the video to talk with your partner. All right. She had several challenges, right? She was creating a product and needed help to meet the demand. She changed the formula and its name. She also got advice from others. So what made Betty a good inventor? Pause the video, discuss and think. All right, she wanted to solve a problem. She had a problem in her own work, and she created a practical solution for that. She did not give up. All right, so we're going to look at this section again, and this time we're going to notice the author's craft, so how they wrote this piece. We're going to look at the first paragraph here, so I'm going to go back. All right, and if we look through this, it started out here by saying, at first, she did this. And then she decided to try it. Then her co-workers wanted to use it, right? When events are presented in an order in which they happened, that is called chronological order. So just keep that in the back of your minds because you're going to need that. Also, I want you to take a look. This part that is italicized, why do you think those sentences are italicized? Go ahead and pause the video, think and discuss. Okay, if it's in italics, you will see really small right here. That's a quotation. So this means that this is something that she said, or the person who's talking, it is a quotation from a person. So we are going to today go ahead and grab your notebook and go back to your glossary, and you are going to add chronological order to that and define it. That's your job today. Thanks, guys.